So thank you, panelists, for joining us. Nitish will be here in a couple of minutes. Bombay traffic, can't help it, but he'll be here, as I'm told. So yeah, what we're going to look at is, as the the panel, the topic says, building smarter, scaling wiser, because we heard from Dr. Velumani that what AI is, it's half truth. Which half is true, we don't know. But then, that's how it is. We are building an AI-rich world, where capital is now becoming very selective of where it is going. And that's what we will try to, understand from you guys today. And let's give us specific examples, possibly, and not just theories, because that makes everything make more sense. And as I said before the panel, that it's you guys who everyone wants to hear, not me. So feel free to chime in wherever. I'll be pointing questions to you, but feel free to chime in wherever you want. So probably the extreme end, Ankur, starting with you. And for years we've been told to grow fast and race faster, which was Mr. Velumani said that yes, it is important, but not very important. So today capital is tighter, AI is changing the landscape. Are we entering a more disciplined or smarter era of entrepreneurship, if I may say, or it's just another hype cycle probably?
Thanks for the question, Saurabh, and good afternoon to all. Honestly speaking, I really don't know whether we are entering a smarter because AI is there. I would want entrepreneurs to be slightly reckless and not always be smart about things. I think AI is just an enabler. If you honestly ask me whether AI is going to change the way I think about an idea, I'm not really sure about that. It is a great enabler for me, and I believe what internet did a few decades ago is something which AI is going to change the way business is perceived. And maybe if I start something today, that would be far more leaner or efficient because I need not require the same amount of manpower. But we are in a business of food. I don't think that AI is going to fill your stomach. So till that time you open a laptop or something and your tummy is full, I think we would require AI to become quicker, leaner, efficient. But would it solve for everything? I'm not sure about it. And I don't know if I would want entrepreneurs also to become smarter because AI has come. The inherent nature of entrepreneurship is risk-taking. And that, I don't know if AI will help you maybe make better decisions, but that's it. I don't foresee anything more. It's an enabler for me. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. No, AI definitely will not fill our stomachs, but I'm sure that it will help you understand what I need to fill my stomach probably. That's what AI is doing, at least in the food business, Shrini, to you. Fintech, I mean, all completely different. And you cannot leave it to AI to take decisions, of course.
Yeah, I think that in fintech, the difference when you mentioned before you need more capital to raise money to build businesses in 2020 versus now, I think there's a little bit of difference because this is where I think the smartness comes in, is maybe what took 4, 5, 6 software engineers can be done by one AI-enabled engineer, right? And I think that's very powerful because existing companies like us, we're forced to be lean. We're forced to now figure out, okay, we have this set way of going, set mindset of doing things for the last 10, 15 years. Now we need to rethink the playbook and see, in an AI-first world, how would I rebuild that company from scratch? And if we don't do it, then there's going to be some other new person that's going to come in and take out the incumbents, right? So I think that it's a great opportunity for existing companies to use this to be more efficient in operations. Specifically in fintech, first of all, I don't think AI is going to make you a ton of money in trading or investing by itself. I've heard that hype cycle for many years that XYZ is now going to make, unlimited returns on capital. They'll provide you as tools, which I think is going to be important. But I think the real enabler is going to come in where fintech is more than just trading, right? It's also trading operations, massive back office operations, anti-money laundering, KYC, fraud. All these things will become much better and easier to tackle with AI. So I think today, if anyone is looking to start a fintech company, the first thing you would do is that I started Upstox at a time when account opening required signing 30 paper forms, printing it, sending it to our office, and us reading and scanning every page. Obviously, today everything is digital, but with AI, even that entire KYC processing and assessing that client goodness and badness can probably be done automatically.
Yeah, great. And what I'm happy about is that you told about that AI. At least it cannot predict again that whether to short or not short a stock or not. All it can do is help you do that if you are interested. Natasha, I'll come to you, and from your lens, from an investor, AI has changed things a lot. So, and I'm sure that as a journalist, if I get 10 pitches, out of them 9 are probably AI led or AI driven. The 10th one actually. So I'm sure that you also get these kind of. Then how do you separate between wrappers and actual use cases of AI?
Yeah. So Boundless is a fund that's focused on AI and frontier tech. We're a cross-border fund, so we look at deals from all over the world. And given the hype, madness, noise right now, we're seeing thousands of companies a week, right? So whether you are AI native or not, you're definitely saying you're using AI, right? You can't get away from that today. So the way we think about it is very different. We say, okay, AI is a massive term to talk about what is happening at a foundational level in terms of what's happening in generative AI, diffusion models, world models. Then AI is what's happening at an infrastructure level. So how do you make sure these models actually have memory, context, security, governance? And then AI is what's actually happening at an application layer, which is what these entrepreneurs are talking about in terms of what can you actually do in fintech or in food, right? So honestly, there's a massive difference in terms of the hype versus the narrative, right? Today, honestly, we already have more than the world's intelligence at our fingertips. I'm sorry to say, but obviously the foundational models are much smarter than any of us here. But how many of us are actually using AI in our orgs for decision making? It's not that simple, right? Even when you're hiring people or building businesses, you don't always choose the smartest person. You want to pick the most reliable person, the most trustworthy person, the most dependable person. So we actually have a long way to go in terms of both how we build companies that are AI native, and also the actual technology has a long way to go in terms of being more reliable. So there's a lot to be done. We are at day -1 globally and -10 maybe in India.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you, Nitish, for joining us. I understand the traffic is crazy here in Bombay. I come from Delhi. We have wider roads. But we have the same traffic.
No, I was busy playing games. I forgot to come.
Of course, and that's one very interesting area. So, we have from food business to fintech to construction, which is again I'm going to come to Gaurav, and then gaming. Probably the one of the most, if I'm not the most, beneficiary of AI.
Yeah,
the industry.
I would surely say so.
So, and what has been like we're talking about where AI is rich, capital is scarce for others. So how are you playing that game at Nazara?
See, I think AI is, of course, invading and disrupting every industry. But something like gaming, which is very tech-driven, is obviously in the front line of being disrupted for the good or the bad. The way we are leveraging AI right now is how we develop games, how we code games, how we design games. You're able to accelerate that significantly, and then how you engage customers, how you analyze the data. I think there's great leverage across it, and this is actually not just a narrative or a story. It's showing up in numbers. So we recently acquired a business in Barcelona in Spain, and to give you a perspective, it's a completely AI first driven company. To give you a perspective, they're doing about annually 2,000 crores of revenue with 40 people. So that's 50 crores of revenue per year per person, which is significant, right? And that would not be possible without proper use of AI. So I think we can actually see how AI is translating into numbers, not just in terms of storytelling.
Of course. And talking about storytelling, just today I was reading that a movie made with AI at 80% less cost and 75% less time. That's the kind of efficiency we are looking at. So Nitish, I'm going to go to Gaurav now, but feel free everyone to chime in, as I have said, wherever you feel like. Gaurav, construction, chhad, sariya, this is how we know, cement and all those things. How are you using AI, you're there?
Yeah. So we run a platform for selling building construction materials to MSMEs. So this is steel, cement, online. We are today one of the largest companies doing this actually globally. So for us, if you look at, right, AI is not in the core of the business, right? The first thing that we are doing is to standardize processes on how construction materials can be sold, right? So this is leveraging, the industry lacks standardization of processes, right? So that's been the first stack on what JSW1 has been built on. The second stack that we have built on is that how do we build tech on top of this? So predominantly, all our engagements, all our dialogues with our sellers, all our dialogues with our customers are tech-led, and not in a very, not in a traditional way, the way you consume tech in B2C. It's not how you talk to Amazon on order taking, or how do you talk to Swiggy or Zomato on order taking. It's a very different sale in B2B. Our average order values are 20 lakhs. There is no COD in this company. There is no concept of an interchange through a payment gateway, which can, there is no UPI that can come in for this amount as a business. So all of this tech stack has been laid out by us today for doing the scale that we do. About 2.5% of India's steel is sold on JSW1. The AI piece is really in how we engage smarter with our customers. How do we leverage this data to underwrite credit? How do we engage in giving the right, demand generation for our customers? How do we give right notifications to sellers on what pricing they can sell, what price they can sell their inventory at, right? How do we stock the right inventory? Where do we stock the right inventory? So this is the last layer of AI that we have built in. And, coming back to your first question, I think actually that the era of, free capital to grow at any cost is over, right? So there has to be, in this world, at least in the world that we are in, where cost of equity is so high, we are all seeing cost of debt is going up, so cost of capital in general is high. Customer expectations are not going to get lesser. There has to be something that will create efficiency. That efficiency layer is coming in from AI, right, across businesses, including ours.
All right. So, Ankur, I'll come to you. We just heard that it's not that money is free, it's going. So I want to ask, in this AI era, and this is a question for everyone, whoever wants to answer, of course I'm pointing it to Ankur, is it really so, or is it just that the cost center has moved somewhere else?
Okay, so first of all, I think I was listening to Dr. Velumani as well earlier. I actually don't believe that capital is so hard pressed. I believe if your idea is right and you are at least executing at not even at a large scale, but at some scale, the right capital would follow you. But is there some kind of a mindless capital available? Because let's say maybe post-COVID, everybody thought that, okay, things are going to be really, really great, and capital just kind of became really freely available. I think there is some amount of prudence which has come there, and I think that was bound to happen. So when we say that capital is not available, I believe just capital has just become more prudent. And generally the macros of the world, I think they play quite a big role as far as capital availability is concerned. So sometimes, see, you are seeing how the gold reserves of the countries are moving today. So I won't say that at an investor level or at entrepreneur level, these things are becoming, it's slight amount of global change which is happening. But I think, as a lot of my panelists have said, I think AI is going to make us more leaner, more efficient, and make us do things far quicker. And that's where we are. Every business would have its own, I would say, maturity stage that when AI will become a big leverage for them. I believe, like for us, our tech teams are a big users of that. But how do I transfer it to end user is something which we are still kind of finding out. A lot of data inciting work has become useful, but how do I, let's say, change my on-ground kitchen operations leveraging AI is still kind of a journey which we are yet to take. So a lot of stuff which was slightly manual in nature has become far more efficient, but there's a lot of work which still needs to be done. So that is what I would say on these.
All right, Shrini. So I mean, for him, it's still about the kitchen where AI is still to enter. Though I've seen some of the smart refrigerators saying that something is over, so you need to order that. For you, where is it really impacting? In customer acquisition or product innovation, risk. Where is the most the impact which is measurable probably, because there's this problem of not getting measurable return from AI implementation.
No, makes sense. And I think all these areas, AI is applicable. Probably two of the areas AI is already being used. First one being customer acquisition. I think anybody who's using any sort of marketing automation platform probably already has AI in it that tells you who your target audience is, who each cohort is, how you want to target them, what levers are working, and what's not working. If that marketing platform doesn't already have AI in it, then you're using the wrong marketing platform. So I think that's already baked in the sense that they've been one of the first early adopters in terms of embedding AI and making sure that customer acquisition is there, right up there with probably chatbots, which I think would have been the first thing that everyone has started using is let's put AI in all of our chatbots. When it comes to other areas, you mentioned operations and you mentioned risk. Operations, of course, I think AI is applicable to many, many industries across the board. Anything that requires data entry, we want for higher accuracy, better efficiency, move that over to automation/AI, and move the people that are doing it to do more judgment tasks rather than data entry. So it's great for the person doing the job, it's also great for the business, and it's great for the customer. The third area, which is risk, I think that there's a lot of scope for it, but in fintech have not seen it fully play out, right? I think part of the reason is that in fintech, risk is generally something that's historically always been governed by some regulatory body. We have SEBI, we have RBI, that tells you exactly this is how much margin you can give to the customer, this is how much cash collateral ratio you can have to the customer, this is how many orders or how big of the order they can place. All that is already written and set in stone, right? But there are instances where that may not be enough. Does anyone remember what happened end of January this year with gold and metal prices?
Yes.
Just to kind of give a recap. So gold, I'm sure many of you know, has been on a tear, along with a lot of precious metals have been going up for the last 5 years. And then it suddenly spiked up in January, only to then drop suddenly at the end of January, early February. So many people may not know this, but a lot of brokers were sort of panicking. Why? Because the amount dropped so much that there was going to be margin calls coming the next day. Now, usually, most risk frameworks would account and handle most of these falls. You have something like if it falls by 8%, 10%, then do this. But if it falls 5%, then take this action. The problem here was all of this happened after the market closed. So the market closed, the price of gold dropped, everybody at night was sweating, thinking, what do I do with all these people that have leveraged gold positions, leveraged gold ETF positions, derivative positions? It's going to be a loss for the customer, it's going to be a loss for the broker, right? And eventually, we found ways to solve it and minimize that. But I think this is where AI, data science can come and play a bigger role to sort of tell brokers and customers that, hey, I think there's a lot of movement here. You have a risk framework, but you should probably take a double check on this and do it better. So I think that's where it can be a win-win for customers and businesses alike.
All right. So when you say, you've chosen fintech, which is harder because there is SEBI, there is RBI, I think you've done what Dr. Velu when he said, chosen the difficult path. So I'll go to Nitish. And Nitish, so what do we see from you? You talked about a company in Barcelona right now. So going forward, Nazara, do we see bigger IP-led companies or smaller AI-led creators that will get created? And how do you foresee it? And will you be looking at acquiring more of them if something comes your way?
I think both sides are going to be true. So on one end, IP. See, in a world of AI, where every creator, small developers, let's say in a country like India, right, from all over the country, people can now make world-class, potentially world-class games and export them. So the supply of games is obviously going to become, it's already large, but it's going to become enormous. And therefore, obviously, you're going to see a lot more game developers, AI creators. And specifically for India, it's a huge opportunity because India has always been great in coding, great in design, animation. But in certain things in game, like monetization, game balancing has been an issue. So it allows countries like ourselves to bridge the knowledge gap to a certain extent and compete at a global stage. So I think AI will lead to a large explosion in gaming. I run a listed gaming company, so I will also say, and I've often been joking, that just like COVID, given that AI is going to steal a lot of people's jobs, a lot of people will have more time to play games. So you should buy Nazara stock. But outside of jokes apart, I think, yes. At the same time, what many games does not make a successful game. I think gaming comes with a lot of data analytics, distribution, etc. So you will see still the same principle of, top 5% games making 80% of the revenues. It's a very interesting time in the next 2-3 years.
But still, the pie is so huge that even if the top 5 gets 80%, there's always scope for the rest, 20% to create world-class stuff at least, which can, I'm sure you come across them.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think
I think AI makes it more, makes it happen, right?
Of course, and I don't think that's true only for gaming. I think generally, I think that Indian startups will see even a much bigger boom because it's all about getting the right product for the consumer. And now AI allows so many entrepreneurs to really quickly test and bring products to the market, right? So you're going to see a lot more attempts at the goal.
Right.
That will scale very fast, whether it's gaming, whether it's startups. I think, we're saying the same thing, right? Everyone has to be on AI.
Of course. And that brings me to Natasha, that everyone says AI, but what are the red flags that you really look at when someone comes to you saying that I have AI embedded in my system or I'm using AI?
So before I answer that, I just wanted to point out one interesting thing, right? It's almost like we're having two different conversations. So one is we're saying, okay, where can you use AI to actually streamline operations, cut costs, as we've been saying, like how can more people be more, how can the same people be more productive, create more with less, right? So there's this one question about where do you streamline operations, where do you automate them using AI in businesses? The second is a completely different question of, okay, now that when we're talking about AI has been here since the 1960s, right? It was just fancy regression. What we're saying is new is generative AI. This ChatGPT moment was we introduced transformers to the world, and now we can talk to machines in natural language and they can talk back to us. Right, so the question is, as Nitish is saying, creativity is going to explode, generation is going to explode. So the interesting question is, what is it that you could do? Like, what new markets will be created, right, that couldn't have existed before? So I'll just give you a few examples. I think, of course, in education, the way we learn and the way our children learn is completely going to be transformed, right? Now you can have more individual, more personalized, more generative learning. So education is going to look completely different in the next 5 or 10 years, and we're not ready for that, right? Healthcare, what access doctors have in terms of information, but also patients is completely going to change, right? The way you can now, I'm sure all of you are already diagnosing yourselves, for small conditions better, just using a Claude or a ChatGPT. That couldn't have happened a few years ago, right? So already consumer behavior is changing in a way we've not appreciated, right, on the generative side. So I think this is, there are changes being made, but we are not paying attention because we're basically saying what can happen at an enterprise level, what are large companies doing, what role will India play. These are big questions that will take years for the answers to emerge, right? But we should just say today, what are we already doing in terms of our behavior that's changed, and what new work can each one of us do that we couldn't have done before, right? So for example, I launched my fund last year. The way my fund looks, what we invest in, the way we run our processes, our team is totally different from a fund that would have launched 3 or 5 years ago, just because it's possible. So I feel like we need to have a more positive conversation around generation and creativity. There's going to be so many new markets. I'll just give you 1 or 2 examples, right? In our company, we've invested in a space tech company called PeerSight. They're launching satellites into space to image the Earth's oceans in a way that could never have been done before. Now, either this becomes a multi-billion-dollar company or they fail. It's very binary risk. But the point is this company couldn't have existed. And then, yeah, I think in just terms of red flags, I'll tell you, right? Like, the red flag is sort of what we've covered, that everyone says they're using AI, but what does that mean? Now you're saying that, okay, you're creating some chatbots to streamline your operations is not enough. You have to think much more tangibly about where's your organization's memory? Where's your organization's context? Who in your organization actually has access to AI data? What decisions are changing because of AI? And then also, how do you visualize and govern those decisions, right? Because AI is not always right. So that we're looking for very deep reworking of organizations.
All right, thank you. You want to add something?
No, I was just saying, she's absolutely right. I think new use cases of AI versus incrementally cost-saving efficiencies and all, I think the technology is far too powerful to limit it to just efficiency.
Right.
I think the real opportunity lies in continuously thinking and creating new use cases of AI.
Right. No, of course. I mean, we all are looking at it probably. We have to widen our lenses in terms of how we are looking at how AI is impacting probably. So we have a couple of more minutes. So with your permission, should I look around and see if someone has any
Sure,
questions? Yeah. Any questions? Anyone? If you have, please raise your hand, and we'll pass on the mic. Can we have a mic here? Sir, keep it brief here. And if you can introduce yourself, and if you have a question for anyone in particular, do let us know.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sanjay Rawat. The question is for Natasha. What are the matrices you have for spotting the winners?
See, in the end, I'm an early stage investor, right? So the way I think about deals is 1, founding team, that's the top priority. Then 2, market. And then 3, construct, traction, etc. And every fund will be very different based on what stage they come in at. The stage I come in, I'm betting on people. And also, if you look at my portfolio, you won't be able to tell how I'm thinking about founders from their education, from their background, from their demographics. I've invested in founders with no experience, University of Waterloo dropouts. I've also invested in IIT Kharagpur, Stanford founders. I've invested in people who've left Meta and OpenAI to come to India. I've also invested in people who've never worked a day in their lives, right? So what we're looking for is much more this very intangible founder psychology. What we look for is people who have this belief that they can actually change the world, like reshape reality, and then they actually sort of grow and evolve with every setback. So we look for people who love problems and are very resilient. So obviously, I think anyone sitting on this panel would probably fit that description, right? They believe that they can create a new reality, and then they convince other people from a blank sheet of paper, right? Whether it's their investors or customers or employees, that they can create something. In terms of market, we have very nuanced views. As I said, right? The way we look at space companies versus manufacturing versus robotics versus consumer versus infra and memory governance versus foundation models, world models, it's too long a conversation, but the point is we're very much at the AI frontier. So we spend a lot of time in AI labs, foundational model companies, OpenAI, Anthropic, at Stanford, ISC, because the truth is no one knows what's next. Let me tell you, we're in this new world of uncertainty and everyone's pretending. Even OpenAI doesn't know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? So we're all building, working, investing on quicksand. So that's what I'm saying. What's important is this open-mindedness to know that, okay, markets are going to change, unit economics are going to change, the world is going to change, capital is going to change. None of us know the answer, but we have to create that reality, right? And then third, like I said, I'm not too fussed about traction or whatever just because we're pre-seed. So we invest in companies sometimes pre-incorporation.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Any more questions? Yeah.
सर ऑनलाइन सीमेंट और सरिया बेचने का आइडिया कहाँ से आया कैसे
So, if you look at the market, right, we thought that there is no price transmission, there is no logistics that is there in the market, there is no credit penetration in the market. It's still very unorganized. So, can a platform come and solve all of these problems? हमारे steel business में, if you buy steel, उसमें स्टैम्प नहीं है कि मटेरियल JSW है, सेल है, टाटा है. So how do you even ensure that the customer is buying the right product in the market, right? So all of this, we thought that technology today is advanced enough that we can build this at scale. We don't need to solve locally like an erstwhile distributor would have done one in Maharashtra, something in Bangalore, right? We can just build a pan-India platform to do it. So that's what excited us as a group.
I expected that question from someone because that's a very unconventional place to go online and do that thing. Any more questions, anyone?
Yeah, I had a question. Sorry. Question for Nitish. Besides making game development more efficient, what are the use cases of AI do you see in the gaming sector? And second part, if you would like to answer, do you still find time to play games and what do you like to play?
Sure. So first is, serious answer is that I think, like I said, engagement of the player, personalization of the game to each individual player, I think will make a big difference on how you engage and monetize gaming. On the second front, my wife ensures that I don't come anywhere close to playing games. Screen time is banned in my house. So, but on a lighter note, I do try and get hooked to some games. I like sports simulation games. So, tennis and stuff like that I like to play.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. I think there was a gentleman who had a question there. Can you have a mic there?
Can we get the mic here, please, quickly? And we'll take that last question.
Shrini, good afternoon. You had created a good platform for investors, primary, secondary market.
Can you speak in the mouth? Can you speak in the mic, please? Sorry.
Shrini, you have created a good platform for investors. Have you an idea to create a platform for investors from villages? Starting from 1 rupee.
Yeah, so you're talking about creating an app for investors from villages to invest in a minimum of 1 rupee.
Yeah.
So this is something we've been working with SEBI and the intermediaries to say, how do we increase market penetration? Today, more than 70% of the customers that are joining Upstox are coming from tier 2 and tier 3 cities. They're not coming from Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi. About 15 years ago, 80% were coming from tier 1 cities. Now it's a reverse. So already we're getting a lot of people who are joining and investing, but the ticket size is of course something that we are continually working on to see how do we make it more and more accessible to people. In terms of one thing that's happened is there's the whole BSDA account, which is trying to make the whole DMAT account affordable for everyone. There's no AMC, there's no maintenance charges if your account size is less than a certain number. So I think that's been a great initiative that's come out. I think the next thing that I would like to see that we're trying to work is to get fractional shares. So maybe you don't buy one full share of a company, you buy a small fraction of the share, and then we take multiple investors who want to invest into that, put it into one share and collectively buy it, right? Along with that, also making mutual funds and my personal favorite, exchange traded funds or ETFs, I think want to make the ticket size to get into that much less and less. One thing that we've seen positively apart from investing in stock markets is also we also offer FDs in our platform. And for people who are not comfortable at least putting all their money in stocks or MFs, we've seen a bigger uptake in taking in FDs. So, of course, I'm not here to give investment advice on which asset class is better than which one. But I think that most people feel ki FD is a bit more safer and something I understand. So we still feel happy that it's better than having idle cash. You're putting into some investment that's making your money grow.
I would have thought you'd tell people to buy silver right now.
No,
He can give investment advice on buying stock. I cannot.
so thank you. And you know what? Bring in fractional shares, and trust me, one of the buyers is sitting here right in the dais, because there are MRFs of the world we can't buy, really you can't buy more than one probably or two. So thank you so much, everyone. I think my key takeaway is that, as Natasha, Nitish, everyone said, that keep experimenting. There have to be new use cases and not just look at how it has an efficiency enhancement tool, and probably look at it as a much bigger problem solver and use case creators. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining here. A big round of applause for the panelists here, please.